neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. Today it's my distinguished honor to have Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips. He and I have been longtime friends going all the way back to our high school days, and Reverend Phillips is taking a much more active role. He's followed this blog for a long time. As everyone knows, it's been heavily centered around the Cosmetology Board, and he is now taking a much more active role in overseeing that particular board. And in that regard, at the last meeting, he was unable to be there, but he had a letter on his auction school letterhead that was delivered to every single member of that board. I delivered it on his behalf, and I read that letter into the record. So we're going to take just a moment to break away and let you see me reading that letter to all of the Cosmetology Board on Reverend Phillips's behalf. We'll be right back. Madam Chair, I've been asked to make public comment on that, so I'd like to do that at this time.
You're not on the agenda.
Ma'am, any member of the public is free to make public comment on any matter prior to a vote on that item. You are about to take a vote. I don't have to be on the agenda. I am commenting on a matter that is on the agenda. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm making this statement on behalf of Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips. And Mr. Cozy, I'm going to give you this. It has 7 copies for each board member. Will not take but a couple of minutes for me to read this into the record. And he also wants this to accompany the minutes for this particular meeting. This is a statement of Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips, Jr. to the Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology on August 4th, 2025. As you are aware, I'm speaking for him now. As you are aware, I have been seeking the repair costs for this building since April 22nd, 2025. When I got them, I was not surprised that, contrary to indications made by this board that the cost would be, quote, in excess of $1 million, unquote, that as I stated in legislative testimony, the numbers, quote, are inflated, unquote. The actual number is $199,500, and that includes a $115,000 roof replacement, which I contend is itself inflated. I draw your attention to the fact that the figures are on LSBC letterhead, containing each of your names at the top of the first page. I believe that the $1 million building repair cost representations made by this board enabled you to obtain a $400,000 a year fee increase by means of extreme deceit and, to be quite blunt, fraudulent representations made by the entire Senate Commerce Committee. Furthermore, I believe that this board has exploited the workers in this building by subjecting them to hazards such as wet floors and rain coming through the ceilings for the sole purpose of obtaining a grossly inflated fee increase of $1 million a year. Also, in exploiting these workers, I believe you have placed a potentially valid claim on your building hazard insurance policy in jeopardy from your failure to perform routine maintenance on this building, such as the roof replacement, when your own financial statements reflect that you possessed $1.6 million in unrestricted cash, emphasis on unrestricted cash, which you could have easily tapped to have solved the problem of the roof of this building, leaving well over $1.4 million in unrestricted cash even after the building roof replacement, even after the building roof was replaced. Because of the extreme deceit, exploitation, and in my opinion, outright fraud that you have perpetrated against the licensees of the state, the Senate Commerce Committee, and the public at large, entailing your statements to the Senate Commerce Committee, entailing the fee increase, I am informing each of you that I intend to seek a state legislator to sponsor a bill in the 2026 legislative session to roll back the $10 fee increase to $25. You will have obtained $400,000 through fraudulent representations, and that amount is well over the amount needed to solve the building issues had you simply been honest in your representations. Sincerely, Freddie Lee Phillips. And then there are the 2 accompanying pages from the FOIA request. Madam Chair, you may recall, I hope you got it. I put those into the mail to you as I promised that I would the moment I got them. They were obtained about 2 weeks ago. If you go to the very last page, you will clearly see that beginning with the 115, you can add them up if you would like, but those totals for $199,500. This is me talking now, well short of over $1 million. when Senator Abraham said that you have building repair costs in excess of $1 million, no one spoke up to refute that. I published a full-blown article on the fact that you were stating that you had over $1 million in building repair costs. I'm going to provide this to Ms. Butler. Reverend Phillips asked that it be included as part of the minutes. All right, Reverend Phillips, we're back, and I think that was a pretty authoritative letter that you drafted. Yes. So I'm going to just have you address point by point. One of the main points you made in there, obviously he had been seeking the cost estimates, as was stated in the letter, going all the way back to April 17th. He repeatedly contended that once he got figures, which were over $1 million, I'll tell you what, we're going to break away, just so nobody, are you sure they said it was over $1 million? We're going to break away one quick for about 4 seconds and let you hear Senator Mark Abraham say, well, y'all have over $1 million in building repairs. We'll be right back.
Correct.
The repairs are over $1 million.
Yeah.
That you've estimated.
Yes, sir.
You're going to.
All right, you just saw it, and nobody corrected him. Nobody corrected him when he said, we all have over $1 million in building repairs. He questioned that number from the very beginning, so I'm going to let him take the floor now and express what his thoughts were when we finally got the actual information that showed $199,500. We're going to give you the link for the actual document, and of that $199,500, $115,000 was comprised of the roof, which I believe he has examined the roof, and he has said even that's excessive. So, Reverend Phillips, you take the floor.
Thank you, Robert, and I thank you for representing me before the board at the last meeting. But I'm also just disappointed that they inflated the numbers to where they defrauded the public.
And you made that point in your letter. You used the word they defrauded, exactly.
Correct. And my problem is, how can you escalate price when you don't have proof?
Right.
And I felt like the numbers that they gave were way out of whack. And then once we got documentation, I just felt like somebody was putting a bag over my head trying to commit suicide. Wow.
Well, that's even stronger words than were in your letter. So, yeah. Needless to say, he was correct. He touted his ability to estimate construction costs, and he said there is no way that you can be looking at $1 million of repair costs of this building. As it turns out, he was very much correct. And I believe you made it a point in that letter that the workers had literally been exploited in this matter because they've been subjected. We're going to provide the photos. We're going to provide the photos that Representative Butler showed. Now, they're black and white, but we're going to provide the photos that she spread to the entire House of Representatives, the Senate, showing these conditions. And I want to emphasize, with $1.6 million sitting in the bank, they didn't use, by their own number, would have been $199,500 to cure everything on the building. I think your point's well taken about exploiting the workers for the purpose of getting a fee increase, but I'd like for you to...
Well, Robert, I appreciate it because it was also a problem of health and humanity.
Right.
They exposed those workers to what I would have considered hazardous material. Mm-hmm. When they had the funds to repair it, but yet they did not repair it, and then allowed the damages to continue on when they could have solved the problem with the money they had. They asked for $1 million increase, but because I opposed it and stood strongly against it, they were only able to get $400,000
per year. Let's make sure per year.
And I'm really trying to get that taken back because they really didn't need it.
Exactly, and that's another key point of your letter. You have openly said in there, and I read it to all of them, you are going to actively solicit a legislator to sponsor a bill to scale that license fee back to the $25 that it was, based upon your premise that it was obtained under fraudulent representations. Am I correct?
Well, that's correct, and it's obvious because when we got the records, it nowhere reflected what was said from Senator Abraham.
Correct.
The repairs are over $1 million.
Yeah.
That you've estimated.
Yes, sir.
You're going to.
And all those who got them to testify, like the damages were astronomical.
Sure.
You know, I mean, that's one thing to somebody to say it, and then when you look at it and see it, you wonder whether or not they were blind or are you blind.
Exactly.
And so, now I know we both can see that those damages are nowhere near what they said, but let's go back to the health risk that they exposed those workers to. Because at some point in time, they care more about a fee than they do about a family.
you're making an excellent point. And folks, let's just make an analogy. Let's say you're living in a $300,000 home, and the repair cost, you've got some repair costs that are about $80,000. And you've got $1.3 million sitting in your bank account. Would you allow your own family members to go through these kind of conditions, rain pouring in, when you had plenty of money to repair the roof? If you wouldn't allow your children, or your brothers and sisters, or any other relatives that may visit your home, not to mention yourself, why isn't the same logic being deployed here? And I believe he just hit the nail on the head in why it wasn't deployed. It was intentional. It was an intentional deployment, exploitation of these workers for the sole purpose of getting that fee increase.
That's it. And it wasn't going to go to anybody but those who would benefit from it.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm concerned, and if I was empowered, I would really seek some type of jurisdictional judgment concerning this issue, because you don't know how many people that walked in that building that may have contacted any of those germs and bacteria, the mold, or anything else that could have very well been prevented. They waited till it got to a damaging point to where they could no longer bear it, but they never thought about the health risk that it had prior to that issue.
And I think that's an excellent point, and I think you made the point in the letter that may have very well jeopardized what would have been an otherwise valid insurance claim.
Exactly.
So it's just basically fiscal irresponsibility. Well, Reverend Phillips, I want to thank you for being the guest today. This will be the first of a 4-part series leading up to the next meeting. In segment 2, you're going to see me take the cosmetology board to task over these $700,000 in, quote, programming cost. You won't want to miss that episode, because we're going to provide other contracts from other boards that have gone with outsourcing, which is what the IT experts that I have spoken with have said need to be done here. That's just a little prelude to get you ready for the second installment, but I don't think we could have had a better person to have been so strong about, hey, I want to see the numbers. It took forever for him to actually get to see the numbers, and he said, I guarantee you, when we get them, we're going to find they're inflated. Well, guess what?
They were.
They were vastly inflated. So, Reverend Phillips, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today.
And do the great work that you're doing, exposing these industries that do not have the integrity to fly above the radar.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again for your dedication, and we look forward to bringing you the second installment of this series probably in the next few days. Today is Wednesday. Probably by Sunday we'll have installment 2. So thank you once again, and we look forward to bringing you that second installment. We'll see you again soon.